Raven2 is finally here, and it's not just a sequel, it's a total evolution of the original Raven. This time, Netmarble has taken things to the next level with a full-fledged MMORPG experience that looks absolutely stunning. If you've played the first game, you'll instantly notice some big changes, especially the new auto-attacker system that makes grinding and exploring smoother than ever. But don't be fooled. Even with all that automation, your skill choices and playstyle still matter a lot. So whether you're the type who loves charging into battle headfirst, supporting your team from afar, or dishing out insane damage combos, Raven2's class system has something for everyone. In this video, we're breaking down every class in the game, their strengths, their weaknesses, and which ones truly stand out in both PvE and PvP. Let's find out which class deserves the top spot in our Raven2 class tier list. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking classes in Raven2. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching! The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Elementalist and Destroyer. You ever meet that one player in every MMORPG who's trying their best, but somehow ends up face down in every boss fight? Yeah, that's kind of the story with our B-tier classes in Raven2. They're not bad. They just don't exactly bring fireworks to the party. Let's talk about them, because even if they're not topping the charts, they've still got a few tricks up their sleeves. First up, we've got the Elementalist, the magical chaos dealer of the group. This class has some pretty cool tricks, literally. Freezing enemies in place, shocking them into silence, or setting them on fire just because they can. That's the kind of energy Elementalists bring to a fight. Their spells are flashy and they cover a lot of ground, which makes them great at crowd control from a distance. But here's the catch. All that power doesn't come free. The Elementalist is balanced in difficulty, meaning it's not super easy, not super hard, but definitely squishy when the going gets tough. Especially in player versus player combat, where getting jumped by a melee class often means an early trip back to the respawn screen. Sure, they've got a mana recovery buff to keep their magic flowing, but no amount of mana is going to save you if you're face to face with a Destroyer swinging for your life. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Destroyer. Despite the name, this class isn't exactly destroying leaderboards right now. The Destroyer is a ranged attacker who loves to ruin someone's day by slowing their movement speed and making their healing less effective. In teamfights, that's actually super useful because enemies can't escape easily, and your team can clean up. Plus, those self-buffs on their basic attacks and skills give them a little extra punch when needed. The problem? Surviving long enough to use that punch. Destroyers have a real tough time in close combat. Their escape options are basically hope this recoil skill works, or use that dash attack and pray the cooldown isn't still ticking. And yeah, both of those come with painfully long cooldowns, so once you've used them, you're kind of a sitting duck. So overall, the Elementalist and Destroyer are like the middle children of Raven2's class family, full of potential but not quite stealing the spotlight. They've got cool effects, they're fun to play, but when it comes to serious raids or competitive player versus player action, you might want to keep them as your stylish side characters rather than your main. Unless, of course, you love proving tier lists wrong, in which case, go forth, B-tier hero, and make the world remember your name. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Night Ranger, Vanguard, and Assassin. You know that feeling when you're so close to greatness, but something keeps holding you back? That's exactly where our A-tier classes in Raven2 live. They've got the power, the style, the right moves, but sometimes the situation just isn't in their favor. Still, these are the classes that can make a real impact when played right, and that's why they deserve a spotlight. Let's kick things off with the Night Ranger, the ultimate PvE farmer's best friend. This class lives and breathes efficiency when it comes to slaying mobs, with a whole toolkit packed with attack boosts, critical rate buffs, and increased damage potential. The Night Ranger is basically a walking exterminator. If your goal is to clear dungeons fast or farm experience like a pro, this is your go-to class. But when it comes to player versus player combat, things get a little rough. The debuffs and trait reductions that work wonders on monsters just don't hit the same on human opponents. In PvP, the Night Ranger's kit loses some of that edge, making it harder to keep up with faster or tankier enemies. It's like bringing a sniper rifle to a sword fight. Looks cool, hits hard, but not always the right tool for the job. Now let's talk about the Vanguard, the literal wall of Raven2. This class is what happens when someone says, "I don't want to die, ever." The Vanguard thrives on defense, massive health pools, and crowd control resistance. It's the backbone of every strong PvP team, the player who charges headfirst into chaos and somehow walks out alive. With stuns, slows, and counterattacks, the Vanguard keeps the front line locked down. In teamfights, having a Vanguard is like having an armored bulldozer that just refuses to move. It's incredibly valuable when protecting allies or holding an objective. But the downside? Well, let's just say you won't be winning any speed contests. In solo or player versus environment modes, the Vanguard can feel sluggish, and battles can take forever. Sure, you'll survive, but so will your enemies for a while. And then there's the Assassin, the silent nightmare of the battlefield. This class is all about sneaky plays and ruthless precision. The Assassin specializes in player versus player combat, using bleeding and silence effects to cripple opponents while also reducing their ability to heal. When you start a fight from the shadows, you already have the upper hand. And that's exactly how Assassins like it. Once an enemy is bleeding, the Assassin can chain amplified skills to deal even more devastating damage. It's a class that rewards timing and positioning. One wrong move, and you vanish into the shadows again to try another ambush. But don't expect this style to work well against hordes of enemies in player versus environment modes. The Assassin's kit is built for precision kills, not mass destruction. Another thing to note, the Assassin isn't for the faint of heart. It's ranked as one of the hardest classes to master, and for good reason. You need patience, quick reactions, and a sense of rhythm to make the most of your combos. But when everything clicks, when you perfectly chain a silent strike into a bleed combo and watch your opponent panic, that's when the class truly shines. So overall, our A-tier lineup, the Night Ranger, the Vanguard, and the Assassin, are like the dependable performers of Raven2. They're not overpowered, but they know how to put on a show when it counts. Whether you're a methodical grinder, an unbreakable defender, or a shadowy hunter of souls, these classes will make you feel powerful, at least when you play them where they shine brightest. The classes in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Divine Caster, Berserker, and Deathbringer. You know those players who walk into a dungeon and instantly make everyone else look underleveled? Yeah, that's what we call S-tier energy. These are the top dogs of Raven2, the classes that can solo, support, or destroy everything in their path and still look good doing it. When you see one of these in your team, you know the run's about to get serious. Let's start with the Divine Caster, the absolute queen or king of support in Raven2. This class doesn't just heal, it empowers. With a spellbook full of buffs that increase attack power, defense, and accuracy, while also removing nasty debuffs from allies, the Divine Caster is the beating heart of any strong team. And the fun part? It doesn't stop there. This class also sprinkles in a few offensive debuffs, like reducing enemy attack speed and blinding them just enough to ruin their aim. Now sure, Divine Caster's damage numbers won't exactly break records, but once all those buffs stack up, their attacks start hitting harder than you'd expect. Add a little lifesteal passive to the mix, and suddenly, you've got a healer who refuses to die. It's a beautiful mix of survival and support that makes every teammate better just by being near them. The only downside is that Divine Caster isn't the best at mowing down waves of enemies solo. They're not the clear a map in 5 seconds type. Instead, they shine brightest in coordinated teams and late-game dungeons where strategy matters. When you've got a Divine Caster backing you up, it feels like you're running with a safety net. A very powerful, glowing safety net. Next up, we have the Berserker, the pure definition of controlled chaos. This class is the ultimate melee powerhouse, combining brutal damage, self-sustained through lifesteal, and devastating area of effect attacks. When you play Berserker, you're not just fighting enemies, you're punishing them for existing. Knockdowns, healing reduction, and extra damage on weakened foes make every swing feel personal. The Berserker also has a knack for snowballing. The lower your enemy's health, the stronger your hits get. But let's be honest, swinging a giant weapon isn't always smooth sailing. The attacks can feel a bit sluggish, especially when you're surrounded by mobs. And sometimes that massive area of effect damage attracts way more enemies than you were ready for. Oh, and don't forget, some of that lifesteal relies on chance, so luck plays a small but spicy role here. Still, when you get used to the rhythm, the Berserker becomes an unstoppable storm of steel and rage. You just have to embrace the chaos, and maybe keep a healing potion nearby, just in case the lifesteal gods are feeling lazy that day. Finally, let's talk about the Deathbringer, the class that somehow manages to be good at everything. High survival, check powerful barriers, check healing, damage, and crowd control, triple check. This is the one class that doesn't just survive, it dominates. Deathbringer even has a skill that pulls enemies together into one neat little death zone, making it easier for both solo and team players to wipe the floor with them. And it doesn't stop there. Deathbringer's buffs can turn ordinary attacks into area of effect explosions, while summoning spectral allies that add even more damage and debuffs. It's like running a small army inside one character. Sure, they can handle fights alone, but when teamed up with others, they become an unstoppable engine of destruction and healing from afar. So, to put it simply, Divine Caster keeps you alive, Berserker makes sure your enemies don't stay that way, and Deathbringer ties it all together with an otherworldly mix of offense and defense. These are the S-tier champions of Raven2, the dream team of raw power, perfect synergy, and the kind of dominance that makes everyone else wish they'd picked the same class. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.